What's going on, y'all? I'm back. This is Crime Time with Tone Thursdays. Back in Texas. I'm in Clear Lake, Texas. Gonna talk about Andrea Yates, who was born on July 2nd, 1964. She was 36 at the time of these murders. She drowned 5 of her children in June 20th, 2001. She was born in Houston, went to school here. So the day of the murders, police received a call from Andrea saying, "I need him to come." Being vague with the operator is trying to ask her, what kind of help she needed. Was there a disturbance? Somebody hurt? She's like, "No, just need them to come." She's trying to ask him, what does she need? Does she need the ambulance? She said, "No, need the police." But she wouldn't say exactly what happened. Andrea ended up calling her husband, saying, "Come home." He asked, "Is there anything wrong?" She said, "Yes." He said, "With the kids?" She said, "Yes." He said, "How many?" She said, "All of them." So Rusty shows up. When he gets there, he kind of collapses in the grass, bringing his fist on the ground. He goes to the windows of the house, asking, yelling, "Andrea, how could you do this?" So the day of the murders, that morning, Rusty had left for work, and his mother, Dora, was supposed to come and take over for Andrea. So Rusty went to work, and then there's going to be an hour in between, and then Rusty's mom was supposed to come by and take over. So within that hour, that's when Andrea decided to do these murders and drown her children. So she ran bathwater and drowned Paul, who was the first one. He was the middle child, who was 3.5 years old. Luke, she did second. He was 2 years old. John, who was 5.5, she drowned him and then put him back in the bed for some reason. Mary, who was 6 months, she left her floating in the tub afterwards, and then she did Noah, the 7-year-old, last. So upon interviewing her, they were trying to determine if she was in her right mind during the murders, to see if she's, see if her attorney is going to plead, insanity, or, if she was, like I said, in her right mind. But she was deemed to have some postpartum psychosis going on. And they did say that she was in her right mind and knew right from wrong at that time, because she planned it, within that hour, and had a plan of in order of who she was going to drown first and last. But I'll get more on the trial later. But she believes she did it because she was the devil. She killed her kids to save them, supposedly. And she tried to kill herself before, like twice. Once by pills, and once she had a knife to her neck, and her husband came in just in time to, wrestle the knife away from her. She failed twice trying to kill herself, and she believed that she was the devil. So saying that she, basically she couldn't kill the devil, so she'd do the next best thing and try to kill her kids to try to save them. So she basically, they described it as a bizarre religion She her husband actually knew a friend from school, and he and his wife actually lived in Michigan, and they did a lot of crazy preaching on the streets out there, and it was just a lot of stuff. Basically, pretty much everybody's going to hell. You have to really do some crazy stuff. Basically, like give an arm and a leg, or in this case, kill your kids to survive and go to heaven, all this kind of stuff. So she listened a lot to them, even though they were really, really crazy about their types of religion and what they preached. So even in Michigan, the friend of Rusty's, Rusty, who Andrea would listen to, they got kicked out of Michigan because, like, the police basically kicked them out, or they're gonna prosecute them because of all the bizarre preachings they would say on the streets. So they got out of there, but they actually been doing those type of preachings all around the U.S. They've been traveling supposedly for 3 decades, doing these preachings, traveling to different states and 23 different countries. So along with her postpartum psychosis, she was also listening to this, to these preachings that he was going through. So this is the home of where it happened. So yeah, June 2001. Nice neighborhood down here, actually. So I'm at the apartment buildings where Andrea first moved to. So like I was saying, she was born in Houston. She was a captain of a swim team in high school and graduated valedictorian. And she graduated at the University of Texas School of Nursing. So she was a nurse for a while. And she moved to these apartment complexes. This is where she first lived and where she first met her husband, Rusty. So Rusty lived here as well at the time when they're both single, but this is where they met and started dating. So they actually met at the pool right here. So Rusty said when he was coming to the pool one day, he's blasting his music here at the pool and seeing this real pretty lady just floating in the pool. And he said he was too shy to talk to her, basically saying she was too beautiful and she would never go out with me, basically things like that. So he didn't end up talking to her, so he just kind of watched her here and then kind of went back to his apartment. Not knowing, a couple months later, I guess she noticed him. A couple months later, she ended up talking to him, ended up linking up again somehow and talking to him, and they started dating. They dated for 3 years and then got married. Like I said, she was working as a nurse here at MD Anderson Cancer Hospital here in Houston. Before their first wedding anniversary, they had their first child, Noah, who's born on February 26, 1994. Andrea at this time just wanted to be a stay-at-home mother, so after she got pregnant with Noah, she actually quit her job being a nurse just so she can focus on being a full-time mom, and the husband working and all that kind of stuff. So So after the first child, she began thoughts of stabbing someone, hearing talks from Satan and stuff like that, but didn't reveal them to anybody. I think maybe one person knew about it at the time. So she's really good about keeping stuff close to the vest. She always looked to be a perfect person, so she never expressed those thoughts and feelings to anybody else. In the next few years, she had 2 more kids. So after she had those 2 other kids, she actually ended up moving from here, and they moved to like a mobile home area, bought a mobile home, moved to a mobile home area due to religious reasons, not money. But like I said, she was following those people who were in her head about all this different types of religious stuff. So supposedly they were saying living in a home is evil or bad, so they ended up moving out, or not buying a home, I guess. I don't know if apartment is evil or not, but basically living in a home was evil, so they didn't move to a house, they moved to a mobile home. But that's it for this location. I'm going to stop by the resting place of the kids and kind of finish off with the story. All right, so I'm now at the resting place of the 5 children. So like I was saying, at this time they were living in a trailer home after they moved out their apartment building. And then a year or 2 later, they actually downsized again, buying a used Greyhound. I believe it was from the person that she was following religiously, who was a friend of her husband. And they're in this used Greyhound, which is 350 square feet, living with her husband and 3 kids. And before her 35th birthday, she had Luke, which is her 4th child. And at that time, her father had Alzheimer's, so she was taking care of him as well. And months later, again, Andrea became depressed, thinking crazy thoughts. And she called her husband actually one day while she was in the trailer, called him at home, while he was at work, and told him, "Come home, I need help." So he comes home, and Andrea is chewing at her fingers, not biting her fingernails, like actually chewing her fingers. Her legs and arms are shaking, so she's basically having like a nervous breakdown. It was then she tried to kill herself. Well, not directly then. I think it was weeks later. She tried to kill herself with pills, and he admitted her to a psychiatric hospital. She was only there a week before they let her go. And they let her go not because she was better, it's because of insurance issues. I guess they weren't paying for her medications, so they let her go. I think her husband actually got her a primary doctor later on. They gave her some pills to take home with her and take those. But due to religious reasons, she didn't want to take those, so she would always flush them down the toilet or cheek them, which is like store them in her cheek. Look like she's drinking them down, but she actually doesn't. So the doctor trying to give her like electrotherapy also, but she refused all of the treatments, basically saying meds were bad. So in 1999, while Andrea was in the hospital, one of her times that she was back and forth in the hospital, her mom told Rusty, "Hey, you need to get out of the bus, move out of the bus and buy a home." She felt that was contributing a lot to what was going on. So about 3 months later, they ended up actually buying a home, and they moved in, and everything was good. Her condition improved. But 4 months later, against doctors' requests, they ended up deciding to have another baby. But the doctor told them, there was a strong possibility that the psychosis can happen again. But they were under the belief, or they were under their own beliefs of having as many kids as possible, as naturally possible. So they ended up having another child. So on November 30th, 2000, they had their last child, Mary. A few months later, after her last child was born, her father died as well. So at this time, Andrea would begin to deteriorate. She was like scratching bald spots into her head, scratching herself, like just her body and everything. And in 2 months, she was in and out. In 2 months' time, she was in and out of the psychiatric hospital about 2 times. So, but the last time she was in the psychiatric hospital, her husband took her. It was a couple days before the murders. Basically, he dropped her off. Supposedly it was hard to get her out. He kind of I don't know if she pushed her out or kind of dragging her out. She was kind of in a bad space at that time. But anyway, she ended up getting back out, and of course doing the murders, which resulted in her kids' deaths. And later on, they figured out that, with the kids, her religious delusions, father passing away, is just a recipe for disaster. So they shouldn't have had that 5th kid. They were doing good, after the 4th one later on, after moving into the house and all that kind of stuff was happening. So, but we are here at the grave site. So these are the Noah, John, Paul, Luke, and the youngest one, Mary. And I have 3 standalone ones. So initially she got life, like I said before, because they deemed her as competent and knew what she was doing. But later on in 2006, they found her not guilty by reason of insanity. So during the first trial, when the first trial had happened, she was actually on medication, so she was doing better that first trial. So they were saying would actually been better for her if she was just her normal self, not taking her medications, because she wasn't taking medications at the time of the murder. So that actually hurt her that first time around, taking the medications, because she was better, and they ruled that she knew what she was doing. But second time around, they, like I said, found her not guilty by reason of insanity. So as of now, she's in a low security mental facility in, I think it's Kerrville, Texas. So as far as I know, she's still there. But crazy case nonetheless. The first time she was actually close to getting the death penalty. So to go from the possible death penalty to being in a low security mental facility where you have a lot of freedom, it's a big change. But this is it. So I appreciate y'all. That's it for today. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll bring you guys some more content Like I said, every Thursday. All right, I'll holler at y'all later.